understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero in the universe.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, September 15th, 2018. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sarah Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And over here at the DC TV report, we're still on summer break, basically, because we have no new episodes this week, but we have a great retro pick.
Yes.
We've got some exciting news in the DC Universe. And hey, the DC Universe actually is live.
Yes, DC Universe is live. It came up a couple days early. So we got to see Batman the Animated Series in glorious HD.
Honestly, Ed, I gasped out loud when I saw the Batmobile in the opening credits. It was so beautiful. You can see so many details.
Yes.
I really genuinely and then Jason, I watched the credits and then paused so Jason could join me. I was getting it queued up and it was so nice. I had to go back and he was just like, oh yeah, that's a lot of shades of gray in there. I like it. I approve. Yes. Harumph. So well worth it. Worth the wait.
Yes. And yeah. So have you been poking around the service? I haven't had as much time as I wanted to yet.
Yeah, actually what was kind of fun was Jason, my husband, he knew we were subscribing and he was vaguely aware of it on the fringes. He's heard us talking about it, but we actually sat down after we watched the episode and clicked through because we had it cast to the TV. So we had it on the big screen and he was just like, wow. So, and we were looking through, what I liked was the comics. They have it separated by here's introductory issues of legendary villains, or here's all the Joker storylines. And so they have them kind of grouped by theme, which I thought was kind of cool. Hey, I'd like to read more about Poison Ivy. And so it looked like you could do that kind of searching. Also, I went into the search bar and I just typed in "If You're So Smart" and it pulled up the episode right away. So it looks really searchable across all the different types of content. It has, Ed, we have so many options for things we can watch the next time we have a big break. It has the one season of the 1990 The Flash, and it has the Adventures of Superboy. And I mean, the first thing on the splash page is the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, and that elicited a lot of excitement in my living room last night. So yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, it's like, I hope enough people subscribe. We have such streaming fatigue, but it looks like it's going to be a great resource. I swear we're not getting a cut from them for saying this. This is genuinely my response. We're not on their payroll. We would happily be if they want to sponsor us. But
yeah, no, and I could see the reaction. The reaction online has been mostly positive. Yeah, the only knock I've seen is with some of the comic stuff. They're only doing 2 or 3 issues of a series. People would like to see more full 6 issue storylines. But the fact that you're getting this at all, that there was nothing there and now there's all of this to go through, and the huge video and movie and TV library, I just can't wait to sink my teeth into that.
Well, and I'm wondering if they're going to keep adding things, because that's what Jason and I talked about last night, was how much of these comic runs are on there, because you are always recommending, I should, Sarah, you should read this, you should read that, and I want to, and if they're not all on there, that would be a little frustrating, because it would be great to be able to just sit down and get a nice big iPad or something like that where you can really get the full effect. And I say that because I have this teeny tiny sad little iPad. I would need something. I feel like I need to upgrade to be worthy of the DC universe.
Yeah. And it's making sure that you get digital grade quality scans of all that stuff. I'm sure that stuff takes time, and there's a lot of content that they have to sift through.
Do you think there's some intern locked in a room somewhere just scanning comic books, just like, I hate my life?
I think there's a fleet of interns.
And they're not allowed to look at one another. They have to keep their eyes straight ahead. No talking.
Yeah. They're all just noshing on mushroom pizza, planning rebellion.
I picture it kind of like actually the start of this week's retro pick where Enigma worked at first. Everybody in their little cubicle, head down.
Competitron. Doesn't that sound like, like an arena on an alien world?
2 robots enter, 1 robot leaves.
Yeah. Real quick, we did get another email from our buddy Dan over the Deconstructing Dads podcast. Just saying he wanted to congratulate us on 1 year of outstandingly fantastic coverage of all things DC on TV. Thanks for all the free content and keep up the great work. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Dan. Aw.
Yeah. And it's so happy to be doing this with you, Sarah, and for all of you listeners. Thank you so much for the year of memories. And we're keep trucking on. We got a couple weeks more of these dormant where there's no new content, but there's plenty of Batman the Animated Series to dive into. And I can't wait for Flash and Black Lightning to start up again. That's October 9th. And we get Titans that same week.
We're gonna be busy.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be mostly, I like that it's mostly CW and then DC Universe. We're not, the Gotham isn't gonna be back quite yet. I'm hoping it's spaced out a little bit. So yeah. I think January it's gonna get very busy. We're gonna get
there's some there's some 11 show week
trapped.
scenarios.
Oh God, we'll be trapped inside with blizzards and things. So what else are we gonna be doing, really?
Exactly. All right, you ready to dive into news?
Absolutely.
All right, what's up?
Okay, so let's start with the CW crossover for the Arrowverse shows. We have some casting news. We have our Lois Lane. She will be played by Bitsy Tulloch. If you don't know Bitsy Tulloch, she played started off as the lead Juliet in the TV show Grimm on NBC.
Okay.
And her character went through an interesting arc. I am trying to be better about, if you can't say something nice, say something vaguely flattering. I am always happy to see the cast of Grimm getting work. I really loved Grimm. That was a lot of fun, that show. And if the person who is getting work is Bitsy Tulloch, I will take it. I just had such high expectations for this casting. Lois needs fire and intelligence and spark and cunning and
I'm sorry.
Take over, Ed. Say something.
I was not a fan of Grimm. I just never watched it. It was that show that came on before Constantine. And she's an actress, and we'll see what happens. She certainly looks the part.
Okay. Sure. I will say what's funny to me is in real life, Bitsy Tulloch is married to the lead actor of Grimm, David Gentuli, who has dark hair and a square jaw and basically is Superman. He looks like a damn Disney prince. And so now she's playing Lois Lane opposite Tyler Hoechlin, who basically looks the same. So in life and in career, Bitsy Tulloch is like, nah, you gotta look like Superman if I'm gonna play. And I have to say, I applaud her for that. Bitsy, you live your life how I would like to live my life. Well done. We'll see. The other bit of casting news, this one is interesting. Sandra Jean Amell, yes, married to Steven, has been cast as Nora Freeze.
Ooh, wow.
Pause while Ed loses his mind. So, Ed, tell us why Nora Freeze is an interesting addition to the Arrowverse.
Well, Nora Freeze is the wife of Dr. Victor Freeze, who later becomes Mr. Freeze. If you remember from Heart of Ice, the Batman the Animated Series episode we covered earlier this summer, she eventually gets a horrible illness, and Victor puts her into cryogenic stasis until he can discover a cure. So if she's running around and still alive, wonders like, is Victor going to come into play? How is this going to work? And is this the beginning of a storyline that we may end up getting resolved in the Batwoman TV show?
Well, or is she not alive? Could we have a completely frozen, there's a lot of iterations we could do, I assume.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you could have somebody who's just behind ice. I don't know why you'd cast, if you're going to do that, you don't need to cast somebody who would need a casting announcement, but...
Well,
anyway, I thought that was really interesting, especially, Ed, am I right that she was created for Batman the Animated Series? That character was...
Yes,
created?
that storyline was specifically created for the animated series.
I always think it's kind of cool that characters who first appeared on a cartoon have sort of taken on a life of their own.
Yeah. This is really cool, and it kind of tells you what direction I think they might be going with this crossover. So yeah, that's exciting. All right, cool.
All right, okay. Let's see other news in the CW world. On Arrow, Felicity is sporting some pink hair, and I like it.
All right,
it looks good. Yeah, we have some photos from the pilot that have been released, and she's got pink hair, she's got the piercings in, and the question is this how she's coping with Oliver being locked up? Is she undercover? Because there's other pictures of her where she looks like her usual self, but it does look like the flashbacks we saw of her in her hacktivist days as a younger hacktivist. She had that kind of vibe. So I think it looks really good. Also, her character arc this season is going to be, anybody would worry if their husband was in prison. Like, that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
But she has the extra worry of, he's the Green Arrow. Everybody knows he's the Green Arrow, and he's in prison. So her worrying about her husband is just ramped up all that much more. So
yeah,
that's where Felicity is at the start of the season. Not a good place.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, when you start going goth, I guess that's the cause for anyone to worry, right?
Do goths embrace pink hair? I, for a long time in my summers, had pink hair in my blondes. So it's the opposite of goth. I'm the opposite of goth. I'm the human embodiment of the opposite of goth.
Oh, okay. All right. I for some reason, just like the dyeing hair, the tattoos, and everything else, I just always associated with that.
I see. Well, and somebody correct. One of us is probably on track with this. I could be the wrong one, but I always think of goth as like absence of color. So, but
okay.
Maybe I'm too narrowly drawing the definition of goth.
Well, yeah.
This is maybe not what we're here to talk about this.
Yeah. Well, I'm just connecting it to the hacktivist scenes that we saw. When she had the black hair, I just thought she was just kind of like drifting back into that direction. But
oh yeah, for sure, and I think in those flashbacks she was a little bit more what I would think of there, a little less colorful. But
yeah,
but pink, I'm pleased with the pink. Anyway, whew, okay,
all right.
How about moving on to The Flash? So Nora, the daughter of Barry and Iris, is going to have a connection to Cicada, the season's big bad, that maybe is what brought her back to this time in the first place.
Ooh, I would think so.
This is actually the least surprising news. Like, of course she does. And when they really are emphasizing in all this pre-show publicity that they're doing, that she's clingy with Barry and really warm to him and very cold to Iris. And I mean, they better give us something other than Iris killed Barry and she blames, I'm sorry, not Iris. Cicada killed Barry and she blames Iris, and that, because that is such an obvious cause for this dynamic. I hope it's something more complicated than that.
Oh, it is. It's the Red Skies, and it's Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's what happens to Barry Allen. Go read that book from the 80s. Let's see if that
is it up on the DC universe?
Yeah, I need to start checking there before I start throwing these out. I really do. But like, it's a 12-issue maxi series, so I don't know if they would have all of it. But like, Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's, if you want to know, that's what all of that stuff has always been referencing. That is a big moment where, spoilers in the for the comics, Barry Allen sacrifices himself to save the multiverse, and did not, and was not present in the comics for more than 20 years. Wally West was the Flash, and he was the Flash that I grew up with. So yeah, that's what that's referencing, and that's what I would assume that they're going to be. We'll learn about that in season 10 when we catch up to that newspaper headline. But yeah, I'm talking too much.
Sure. No. I love it when you do your Ed thing. It's the Ed hour. The other little bit of Flash news is not really about the upcoming season necessarily, but Funko Pop, maker of the big-headed dolls that kind of creep me out. Not dolls, action figures. I don't know.
The bobbleheads that don't bobble?
Yeah, the bobbleheads that don't bobble. I've really avoided, because it would be really easy to fall into collecting those. I get it. I really do. Those people who do, I totally get it. I'm just trying to not. That could easily take over my life. Anyway, they released a new collection of Flash figurines, and they are Barry and the Flash. They are Kid Flash. They are help me out,
Jay
Ed.
Garrick.
Thank you, Jay Garrick, old-timey Flash, and then Cisco vibe. And it raised some eyebrows because this is the second set. The first set also was all men, and so some of the female cast were like, oi, what about us? And so Funko had to kind of hastily release the announcement that, okay, we have a Killer Frost. She's going to be our New York Comic Con exclusive. It was going to be a surprise, but we look like sexist pigs. So here you go. Have a Killer Frost. And we heard your call. We want more women, and yeah, we'll pass it along. So.
Yeah. So we're gonna put out a women figurine and make it really hard for you to get it.
I know. Come on. And I have no data on who buys Funko Pops, but I have to believe that skews a little female, doesn't it? I mean, I think no. It feels to me like they're adorable, and it just. I don't mean to gender anybody. Oh my god, I'm so sorry if you collect or don't collect. I'm not saying anything about you, but it's weird to me that it has to appeal to women as well, and it's weird that they wouldn't have more focus on have some female characters.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, what you're saying makes sense to me, but I've only ever seen guys buy that stuff in comic shops, but that's comic shops. So I
fair.
All right. Was that
for a while I wanted to get a Funko for every show I recapped for EW.com because I do a lot of I did Arrow, I've done Supergirl, I did Grimm. So I thought it would be kind of fun I did Shannara Chronicles, a lot of those a surprising number of those have Funkos. So anyway, I haven't done that yet because again, I'm trying to keep it together. I have my She-Hulk and I have my Wonder Woman, and that's it.
Do they have NCIS vinyls?
They don't. I looked. They don't.
Oh, come on, Mark Harmon.
They should. I feel like people would buy them. The Tony Ziva Funkos would be fire. It would be fire. That's what did it, though. It's because NCIS doesn't have it. I was like, well, if I can't have a full set of things I've recapped, forget it. I'm out. Anyway, that was The Flash.
All right.
Moving on to Supergirl. All right, so we have a new trailer that gives us a little bit more information about what the Maid of Might, that's what we call her, right, is going to be up to this season. Okay. You can tell I've been reading a lot of comic book news. She's got a new suit. It's a pantsuit with a mask. I hate it, but that's okay. She's allowed to do a costume change. You get tired. I get it.
Yeah.
I want to shake things up.
Yeah.
She has a new villain whose mouth splits open like the vampires from Blade 2. I hate that as well. Nope, do not care for that. We see flashes of some of the new characters. Dreamer in her human form. We saw Agent Liberty in his Agent Liberty form, I believe. So yeah, we've got some sneak peeks of what's coming up.
Yeah. I kind of liked the vampire villains. I thought that effect looked cool.
Oh no, it looked amazing. I'm saying creepy. Like that's really unusually creepy for Supergirl.
Yeah, and I will say that suit, that's probably like, like a containment suit or something, like if she's going up against Kryptonite, maybe to protect her. That's my guess as to what that is.
Oh, it definitely looks like it has a special use as opposed to just her everyday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I'm saying is like she's not going to be wearing that all the time. That's probably just like like we need, let's throw this so we can sell an extra action figure.
Did you hear that, Funko Pop?
All right.
We have some casting. Agent Liberty's father will be played by Xander Berkeley, most recently of The Walking Dead. I tapped out of The Walking Dead before he joined, so that's my The Walking Dead question mark.
Yeah,
I think of him as from 24.
Okay, on Walking Dead he played a sniveling weasel.
Isn't that everybody? Either you're like a sociopath or you're a sniveling weasel or you're Rick. Actually, wait, no, I already said sociopath. Sorry.
No, this was like, lowest form of pond scum. Guy.
Oh, okay.
Like just a real like salesman becomes a political leader and then just sells out everyone he's responsible for. Like that kind of.
Was he on the hilltop?
Yes.
The hilltop?
Yes.
Okay, I may have. That's right around when I checked out. So I may have seen him already.
Yeah, I'm like flipping a coin as to whether or not I'm gonna watch this season. Like I'm kind of like on the fence with that show too.
See, and I feel like I might come back actually because of some of the casting news that I won't get into in case people have remained unspoiled. But some of the news that's come out makes me think, well, I should at least check in because I was a big fan for those early seasons. So. Anyway, that's been your Walking Dead update. We have pictures of Supergirl in the Oval Office, which makes good sense because we've been talking about the casting and the recasting of the vice president. We know Linda Carter's coming back as the president, so we will see some, I guess, high-level talks there in the Oval. And CW released a teaser with Supergirl hanging out with the 3 lead characters from the Charmed reboot as Brainy has them run through all of their superpowers. And they're all going to be on Sunday on the CW this fall, and it's really got a good like girl power vibe and a lot of fun and hanging out and chatting. Although I will say Supergirl is hanging out on a couch with the Charmed girls in her outfit, her uniform. So it's kind of funny to think of her just chilling. Like, hey, just came over for some wine, got my suit on, let's do this. So.
It's like when George Reeves shows up on I Love Lucy as Superman. That's what it sounds like. Like it doesn't sound like Melissa. Yeah, it doesn't sound like Melissa Benoist was visiting. It sounds like Supergirl just decided to show up on the Charm set.
Yeah, definitely not even Cara Danvers. It's just like, yep. It makes me think about Melissa Benoist just hanging out between takes, just really comfortable in her outfit. I'm good. I'm not gonna take it off. I'm good. I'm gonna go to dinner like this. I'll be back. It's good. I'm good. I can move in this. It's good. It's stretchy.
Yeah.
But there definitely is there's a fun vibe. It's very playful. I see what they're going for there. I am curious about stacking Supergirl with Charmed when you have all the superhero DC shows on the network. To pair Supergirl with a non-superhero, non-DC show is kind of interesting. So we'll see if it takes off. If it's going to be a really female heavy night or if it's going to take off with the general viewership. I don't know. It'll be cool.
We shall see.
We shall see. In October, is that October?
The 14th.
Yeah, that was sticking out in my head, so it's coming. All right. Oh, by the way, happy Batman Day.
Yes, happy Batman Day, everybody. I mean, this is going to be dropping.
I hope everybody celebrated Batman Day responsibly. What I was just calculating is that it's actually a month from today, but it's not quite because today is Batman Day. So, that would have been a great way to segue into Gotham, but I have one more bit of CW news first, and that is Legends of Tomorrow. We reported last week that Nate's going to be spending time in 2018 as he gets to know his dad. He's also going to be the guy who hangs out with the Time Bureau this season. So we're going to get to see a lot of the inner workings of the Time Bureau, courtesy of Nate. And the Time Bureau is going to be more allies than antagonists this season.
That makes sense. Yeah. So he's going to be like a liaison?
Presumably, yes. I assume that's cheaper than trying to make him all steel all the time. So let's just make him a liaison. Sounds a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So, Ed, are you excited at the prospect of possibly more Gary?
Yeah. Gary's the best, of course.
More Gary. Okay, here's the segue I missed. Gotham. We're recording this on Batman Day. Let's talk about Gotham. Yeah. Shane West has been cast as Eduardo Dorrance.
Okay.
Ed, could you run us through who Eduardo Dorrance
Eduardo Dorrance, the Snake King. He's Bane's dad. That's pretty much all we know. He's gonna be playing someone called the Snake King this season. And Bane is a really big guy, smart guy, wears a Spanish wrestling costume, is super intelligent and super strong, uses a toxin called Venom in order to maintain that super strength. And he's one of Batman's greatest foes, broke his back during Nightfall, was the bad guy played by Tom Hardy in The Dark Knight Rises. And yeah, this is his dad, his dear old daddy-o.
So he's probably a nice guy. So Shane West is one of those actors who I know his face, I've seen him and stuff, but I never ever can tell you what he actually is from.
Okay.
So he strikes me as somebody who was on the CW 20 years ago.
Does it say?
And I can't really place him.
Does it say in the article?
Oh, it probably does.
Okay.
I didn't bother to write it down. He was in some movie, and I was like, really? That was him. But he's just one of those, some actors I have a really good handle on. Oh, sure, that's so and so from such and such. But Shane West is just that scowly guy.
Okay.
You know, sorry. So he was in Nikita on the CW. Thank you. There you go.
There we go.
He co-starred on ER. He was in Salem on WGN. He was in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and A Walk to Remember. So I've seen some of those things, but none of those things did I love. So, all right. Sorry to those of you who love EW or ER. Tanya, I'm talking to you. I know you're working through ER. It's wonderful. Keep doing you. All right. Moving into the DC Universe shows. We got a bunch of stuff for Doom Patrol this week.
Doom Patrol music. One of which we should have talked about last week and we missed and we apologize, but we're going to talk about it now. And Sarah, lay it on me.
So, first of all, thank you for tuning in, even though we missed this important news. Thank you for not deleting us from your playlist entirely, because how can I trust them anymore? But we have casting for the Chief. Timothy Dalton will play Dr. Niles Calder.
Timothy Dalton. You know him from such classics as The Beautician and the Beast.
I know him from such classics as Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. Yes, and he was the fourth person to play James Bond.
Now, where does he come in your personal James Bond list, your ranking list?
I think he was a fine Bond. I think the movies did not serve him well. I think I like Living Daylights. License to Kill is such a product of the late 80s action craze that it goes a little too over the top and gets really messy. I think he ends up tossing Benicio del Toro into a cocaine grinder in that movie.
Wait, what?
And Felix Leiter gets eaten by a shark. Yeah,
that feels more par for the course for a James Bond movie, honestly.
And survives.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it's one of the more violent Bond movies. But it's James Bond, so it's it's always awesome. In the documentary Everything or Nothing, about the whole James Bond franchise, his interviews are very funny because he's so intense and he's like, people were saying I can't take my 6 and 7 year olds this. It wasn't made for 6 and 7 year olds. Like, you've got to go back there, get in it. This is what we did. Like, whoa, really intense. He's a fine actor. I've loved him in other things. I know he was recently on a regular on Penny Dreadful on Showtime, which a lot of people say ended very early. but the showrunners say ended right when they wanted it to. I don't know if the showrunner said that or Showtime.
I wasn't going to you weren't going to break up with me. I was going to break up with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, you know, and, you know, guy goes back to Lion in Winter, huge, great, you know, English theater pedigree. Yeah. So yeah. And he's playing the Chief, you know, I think this is exciting. You know, this is, you know, the Doom Patrol is like a demented version of the X-Men, and this is their Professor X. So you know, he's in it. I'm excited.
All right, cool. Now, was Kelsey Grammer being considered for this? Am I remembering?
Yeah, he was in, there were rumors that he was in talks, but he never signed on officially. So,
but that's interesting. You kind of see what wheelhouse they're aiming for, so you can, yeah, I can see how those two guys would be up for a similar role. Interesting. Okay, so Timothy Dalton, yay. We have images of some of the characters in Doom Patrol that have leaked on the interwebs, and some that looked like were released intentionally. So, actually, were they? They all might have been leaks. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. We have some pictures of characters in costume, beginning with Robot Man. Oh my God, Ed, is that what Robot Man is supposed to look like?
That's exactly what he looks like in the comics. Like, I mean, with all these, with Negative Man and all these characters, it's straight up, yep, that's the comics. And like, whoa, they're going really authentic with this. And, you know, as I said, Doom Patrol is really demented. It's really weird and strange. So this is right in line with that, because Robot Man looks really weird and strange, and like, wow, they're doing that in a TV show, and they're gonna play it straight and serious. So hang on, I can't wait for this ride. Sarah, you want to describe Robot Man?
Well, he's got, I mean, it's almost like if Daft Punk had a more face-fitting mask. So I don't know, like it's gold and there's like a ridge across his forehead with kind of bolts, sort of, and you can see his features, and it just, and he's in like a leather jacket. I didn't expect a leather jacket. Maybe that's what it was. It was the leather jacket.
Yeah, it's like Frankenstein meets Bicentennial Man, that Robin Williams movie. yeah, but only if Frankenstein was like riding a cool motorcycle. Yeah. I mean, you know, the cool Frankenstein that Aaron Eckhart tried to play in that movie.
And by the way, before anybody gets pedantic on us, we both freaking know it's Frankenstein's monster. We know. Yeah. Calm down, everybody. Stop it. But yeah, to me, I mean, it really, it was like, is this a RoboCop ripoff or reject, or did they take a failed RoboCop experiment and repurpose it for this? Are we going to hear him at some point say he's a cop killer? I don't know. It was not what I was expecting, because I hadn't looked up what Robot Man actually looks like in the comics, so I was taken unawares.
All right.
But we also have images of a couple other characters, including Negative Man, who looks a lot like, I guess, the Claude Rains Invisible Man, or if you're me, the Nagitsune from Teen Wolf. Yeah, you're welcome. We see Elastigirl. We see Crazy Jane. I thought they all looked really good.
Yeah. I think there were some of the, like, that's why I think these are posed, because they are some of the best, most flattering leaked photos I've ever seen come off a set.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wavered over, were they leaked or were they actual releases, because they really, unlike those first Titans shots that we saw, maybe they learned their lesson, and so they leaked, air quotes, behind the scenes shots, air quotes, so we could see them. So anyway, but though that seems to be clicking right along.
Yeah, cool. All right. What's up next?
Okay, Swamp Thing. Really quickly, we have casting on
music.
Swamp Thing. Derek Mears has reportedly been cast to play Swamp Thing in costume. He will not play the human alter ego. Derek Mears is playing Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th reboots.
Well,
Sorry.
he played it in the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th.
Thank you.
And just so you know, I started a podcast on Stitcher Premium. I started listening to a podcast on Stitcher Premium called In Voorhees We Trust with Gorley and Rust. It's Matt Gorley from the James Bonding podcast. And so I'm not as familiar with those movies, so I've been rewatching them to try to keep up with it. And Jason Mears bears Derek Mears bears a striking resemblance to the deformed Jason from the original Friday the 13th movie. It's like really scary. And if you're like, oh man, that's wow, how'd that happen? He's a great physical actor. He also had a recurring part as a Kree on last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So physically, he's exactly what this part requires.
Well, I will admit, when I saw the picture of the actor next to the casting, I was like, oh, and then I read a little further. Oh, not playing the human version. Got it. Because even when you say twisted gothic love story, I kind of expected a little more Hollywood. I don't mean to. I'm sure Derek Mears is a lovely man. I don't mean to. But once I realized, he's going to be him in the suit. Oh, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah. He's not a traditionally handsome man. Let's just say that.
Yeah, Hollywood's beauty standards are too narrow, and they hurt all of us. And so that's not any. That's on Hollywood. That's on Hollywood. Yeah. Shame on you, Hollywood. So there are a lot of acceptable ways to be. Moving on to Watchmen.
Watchmen music.
Okay. So Dave Gibbons, who was involved in the original Watchmen, the graphic novel.
He was the artist.
Thank you. Says that the script is fresh and exciting, not what people expect. It's reverential without retreading familiar ground. So he is on board, 2 thumbs up, excited for the project. Alan Moore has not weighed in.
Dave Gibbons knows where his bread is buttered. But he's very honest with it. And I think he has a clearer head on these types of things. So yeah, that's encouraging.
I just want to report from the trenches of the youth. I was putting together a PowerPoint for one of my classes this past week, and one of my slides asked who sets the agenda for the agenda setters. I'm in communication studies, and we were talking about media agenda, who sets the media agenda. And I put a little, the smiley face with the blood, the famous image, in the corner. And one student said, is that like Watchmen? Like, who watches the... Oh, one student got it. So it's not as pervasive as you would hope, but there's a glimmer out there with the youth who get it.
Wow.
That kid obviously gets an A in my class, obviously.
I will say, being friendly with comic shop owners, that is the one example, Watchmen is the one example where, that at least from what I've learned, where the movie coming out actually led to a decline in sales of the graphic novel.
Well, no wonder Alan Moore is so mad all the time.
So, I think that's kind of evened out over the years, and everyone should read Watchmen. It's a seminal piece of literature. It's not just a great comic book, and I think that's bared out over the years. But yeah, and we should all be excited for this series. Cool.
Well, especially, right. I mean, I do think what we've heard about it does make me excited. They're saying the right things to make me think, okay, they're going in exciting directions. So, that is it for the news.
All right. So then it's time for the retro pick, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right. So, Batman, the animated series. Episode aired November 18th, 1992. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Video game designer Edward Nygma was fired from Competitron and vowed to take revenge on CEO Daniel Mockridge. Bruce Wayne met with Mockridge to try and bring jobs to Gotham, discovered the slime ball had become a target of the Riddler and thought it might be a job for Batman and Robin. Last minute reveal: after making a deal with Wayne, Mockridge found himself locking his doors and sleeping with a gun at night, afraid the Riddler may come for him at any moment.
I hate riddles so much, Ed. I hate them so much. I hate the people who make them. I hate the people who can answer them. I hate riddles so much. I'm a smart person. I hate riddles. This might be my superhero or supervillain hill that I die on. Like, I'm the anti-Riddler. Anyway, this I loved, of course, this episode, but the that delicious ending, that delicious, ambiguous, just desserts ending.
Oh, how much would you pay for a good night's sleep? That's the real riddle. Yeah. A lot of stuff to like in this episode. Just really quick, the voice talents. Gary Frank was the voice of Daniel Mockridge. He was on a TV show in the 70s called Family. And of course, Edward Nygma, the Riddler, was voiced by John Glover. You may remember as Lionel Luthor from Smallville.
That magnificent bastard.
Yeah, and the bad guy in Gremlins 2, the new batch. Yeah, also had a brief appearance as the crazy doctor who turns Poison Ivy into Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin. Yeah, John Glover, and that voice. Oh man, that voice is so much authority.
This was a very different take on the Riddler than I am used to.
Yes, he's not running around all kooky. It's very different from Jim Carrey or Frank Gorshin. It's a little closer to the comics. Everyone thinks because he wears such bright colors that he's got to be all as outlandish and everything, and that's more the Joker's thing. The Riddler, it's more subtle, it's more subdued. It's, hey, I'm gonna throw this out here and watch and revel in you squirm around trying to figure out what I'm talking about.
Well, and to me it makes a little more sense because he is a hugely intelligent person, and not needing to be a cackling over the top villain sort of makes sense given that. It's kind of like the scariest guy is the quiet one in the room kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I enjoyed that version of it. I didn't know what I was expecting until I was surprised that he wasn't the Jim Carrey type Riddler. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and he's one of the few that escapes in the end. Like they don't catch him. He does not go to prison at the end of this episode. He starts out kind of the same. Oh, he's a guy who got ripped off and is trying to exact his revenge. But he, for all intents and purposes, even though he doesn't kill Mockridge, he's put the fear of God in him, and I think he wins to some extent.
Oh, I think so.
That way. Yeah.
He also built one of those overly elaborate traps for his intended victim that makes you wonder, where did he get the money? Where did he find the workers? How did he afford the land? Like, how much time did he has a flying hand of fate? Awesome.
Well, to be fair, it took 2 years for him to gather all that together.
That's
so fair. He plans everything to a T and doesn't reveal himself until he's ready for it to go through. One thing I really liked is that this is a Batman and Robin episode, and we got to see those two working together. Although
I gotta say, Robin needs to respect the Batmobile a little bit. He's all slouchy with his feet up on the dash. Come on, Robin. Respect.
Yeah. And what I think it's funny is that, like, he's played the video game version of the maze that they're going through, and he's only kind of helpful.
Well, he hasn't finished it yet. Like, he hasn't defeated the final boss, so
Yeah.
So I loved that was Miami, right?
What do you mean?
That Mockbridge was in Miami. It looked to me like Miami by way of Gotham style. You had the kind of Art Deco for the club.
Yeah.
But I love that they Gothamized Miami, South Beach, which I thought was cool. And we got a disco fight scene. I mean, well, I don't know what more you people want, but that's
exploding lamps.
A citywide Morse code, you know.
Yeah.
So, Ed, I will say we had an interesting conversation off air that I wanted to mention on air. And that was, I joked that I just taught in one of my classes about work for hire. So if you are a freelancer, you know, you can do this or this or this, but if you're a full-time employee, it's usually work for hire. The company owns your work. And so I joked that I was Team Rockridge because like Nigma signed that contract. He knew he was doing work for hire. What do you know, come on. Contracts are a thing. But Ed, you explained some context to me.
Yes. Yeah. This is something that goes back to comic books have always been work for hire. And this has been a big sticking point for a long time in comics, because especially going back to the 40s, where, you know, a lot of creators didn't really get their due for, you know, the biggest example would probably be Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the writer and artist who created Superman, who, in order to get Superman published, had to sign away all of the rights to that character for $135. Which has caused lawsuit after lawsuit for decades.
To be fair, back then $135 was probably like $500. So, you know, let's not be too hasty here, Ed. Come on.
Yes, yeah. And when you see, like, even a year from then, how big of a phenomenon Superman had become, and the fact that 20 years later, both of those guys were destitute. Yeah.
But I was interested in the subtext to this, that this is something near and dear to comic people's hearts, and something that was, you know, to me, it wasn't explicit on the screen that we are making a statement about unfair treatment of us and our fellow comrades in this, but it was there. And I mean, it made that point in a colorful way. So I
also love how when Mockbridge is making his presentation to Bruce and Lucius, which he doesn't have to. Like, Bruce is basically like, dude, stop.
I got my checkbook, man. Quit selling.
But he has to put it, we tied up the rights. You know, we don't want to have to pay any residuals or anything out. So it's like, yeah, I totally cheated everybody. So, you know, we could totally go to the bank with this. It's like, come on, man. Always be closing.
Dig up, stupid.
And like, they say they want to make the deal, and then he sees the ticker tape and just runs. Like, just throw out an offer first. But yeah, and so yeah, this episode was interesting, and you know, this is the first one we got to see in HD.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah, and you get to see those bright colors pop. You know, again, the thing with this series, it was bright colors used that were drawn on black paper, which was an innovation in animation at the time. So, you know, the way the contrast that you get for all that stuff is really cool.
Well,
really strong.
And this turned out to be a good episode to pick for that. I thought it had a lot of little in-world visuals that were so nice. The cubicles at the beginning that looked like a labyrinth, and Mockridge tied up and his shadow making a question mark on the floor. I mean, just little things like that were very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I especially loved the shading on the Riddler in his first scenes. Just kind of like you could tell that they had his face painted and the cell was just his mouth at one point. And I just artistically, I thought that was gorgeous. So yeah.
So he built a punny Westworld where the robots want to kill you. I don't know. It was impressive. It was ahead of its time, I think. The world wasn't ready for the lair of the Minotaur, the riddle of the Minotaur.
Yeah.
The murder of the Minotaur.
And this is not the last we've seen of the Riddler.
Does he bring the Minotaur back?
let's just say he ups his game. I'll put it that way. Yeah. So, you ready for next week's episode?
Only if it's going to take advantage of the HD.
Oh, well. It's funny because I'm going to have to give out two different numbers here. So, if you're watching on DVD or through Amazon, if you're paying for it through Amazon or iTunes, it's Volume 2, Episode 22. But if you're watching on DC Universe, this is Season 1, Episode 50. And the title is Off Balance.
Is there a gymnast bad guy?
No, but I will say it is a bad guy that you're familiar with, but you wouldn't necessarily think of as a Batman villain.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
as always, I want to rush out and watch it right now, but I'm going to restrain myself so my reaction is more fresh next week.
Yeah.
I do this for you.
Yeah. So it's off.
You listeners.
Off Balance. So yeah. And we didn't have a new episode, so I think right next up we're just in the road here, right?
Wait. We always agree that the winner of the week is Batman, right? I thought that's what we did.
Of course, the
winner of the week is Batman.
The winner of the week is always Batman. Even though he didn't catch the bad guy this week, but still he won out in the end, I think.
He solved the riddles. That one riddle that was bothering him, he solved it. He got to deliver his dad joke chuckle.
Yeah.
What's a good night's sleep worth to you?
Yeah, and he figured out the riddle of the Minotaur right off the bat. Didn't even need to bat an eye before he said the human brain.
To be fair, I am shit at riddles, but even I got that one. I didn't really know, but then they said the two hemispheres. I was like, oh, well, that's the brain. That's I don't even need the brain. That's so not to infringe on the world's greatest detectives' problem solving abilities, but that was the brain, obviously. Yeah, so, anyway, Batman, winner of the week.
Yeah, and that's going to be the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
I'm at Sarah Netzley, SARANETZLEY.
And follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam!
Shazam!